Well, hello, Lisa. This is Sharon on the West Coast.
Well, hello, West Coast Sharon. This is Lisa on the East Coast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. And yourself?
I'm great. You look lovely, by the way. I love that blue on you.
Oh, thank you. Blue is one of my power colors, you
It
know.
is. You wear it well. I didn't know that, but I'm just looking and thinking, wow, you're rocking that.
Dark blue. It's blue, not all blues. But anyway,
That one.
hello, everybody. If you have dropped in, you are dropping in on Coast to Coast Beauty. And I am Sharon Davis on the West Coast.
And I am Lisa Washington on the East Coast. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, indeed. Now, what did I do? I'm trying to get us both up here, and my brain is not functioning that way today.
Okay, so
So,
my countdown just started.
yeah,
It looked like we just start going live.
I did. We're live. We are
Okay.
live, and you are here with us on the Coast to Coast Beauty site, and we've got some goodies to talk about today.
Hmm. Some things that every woman needs to know. Now, disclaimer here: these are our opinions, and I'm sure there are a million women out there who has some different things on their list. But this started, I think. I was reading an article about 30 things that women should know by the age of 30. And then at the bottom of that was a list that says 40 things women should know by the age of 40. And when you know it, under that was 50 things women should know by the age of 50. I just cut myself off at 50. I said, I'm not going to 60.
Okay. But actually, we should probably find out because we're not like, we're like right double knock, double knock, knock.
No, I don't want to knock on. I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna knock on that door until I just slide up and just how you slide in the home plate. I'm just gonna bump into that 60. I'm not gonna look until I knock it over.
You're gonna slide, huh? Well, I actually have been practicing it, like, oh yeah, well, I've been for some time saying I'm nearly 60 just because it's so close that I might as well get used to saying it. But
Might as well.
anyway, while you share with everybody what we're doing and what it's going to, what started it, I'm going to go ahead and share this out so we can get more people to find out what we need to know before the age of 50
30 or 40.
or 30, 40, or 50.
Okay, yes. As I was saying, my grandmom was the first one I think that told me that I should. There are certain things that I should know as a young lady, and she started this as when I was a little girl in elementary school. I remember her saying every lady should know how to set a table. And she actually taught me that. She actually taught me how to set a table. And for many years, I knew how to do it and had no arena in which to use it. And so now, in this disposable age, I realized that most people simply use paper plates or just the plain plate on a glass. Very few people actually set the table, but I am really appreciative of the fact that she taught me that. And she told me the two things that I remember most is that every woman should know how to set a table. Every lady, she said, a lady is different than a woman. A lady knows how to set the table. And there's every woman, or in her words, every female should have her own money. She should have her own money set aside somewhere that only she can get to.
Yes.
So those are the two things that my grandmom told me, and I have never forgot them. My mom actually told me, my mom and my grandmom actually overlapped. My mom said everybody should have their own money or know how to make their own money. So my mom was the original hustler, so I got out from her. And so I do that she and my grandmom had in common. And this was my dad's mom. I don't think my my mom's mom gave me different kind of advice, not on what to have, but who to be, you know. All of her lessons were about who you want to be, how do you want to act, how do you want to show up. So I'm really thankful that I did have both those ladies in my life who could pour into me from both sides. But the other thing my mom said was, you should know how to change your tire. And you should have a good mechanic, you know, because she didn't say get under the hood and fix the car. But if you broke down on the side of the road with a flat tire, you absolutely could change your tire. So she thought that because I was with my mom several times when she had a flat tire, and sitting on the side of the road with groceries in the car, kids in the car, and she not knowing how to change a flat tire, she looked at me and said, look, when you get grown, make sure you know how to change your tire. And so that came from a place of authenticity for her.
So, did she show you how to change a tire?
She did not, because at the time she was frustrated because she did not know how to do it. But, you know, she had like 7 sons who, you know, she should have been able to call and get one of them to come and change the tire for her. And 2 of them were master mechanics. They never did teach her how to change her tire. She always would have to call someone if she had a flat tire. And it frustrated her because she liked to be in charge, and she liked to be in control, and she didn't like waiting on other people. So I need to get that from her. So there you have it. Though, from 2 different sets of women in my life, they both gave me some advice on something that they felt every woman should know. Okay. And so later on, as I was saying earlier, I started seeing articles showing up about what you should know by the age of 30, and what you should know by the age of 40, and what you should know by the age of 50. And oh my goodness, I know there's got to be a 60s list out there somewhere, but I'm afraid to look for it. Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna look for
it. There is a 60 list.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we decided, Sharen and I decided that we would just compose our own short list. We're not going to go 30, 40, 50 things. But maybe, you know, we'll come up with our top 5 or so things that we think every woman should know or have. And so there you have it. Sharen, you want to start us out?
Well, you know, go along with what you said about information from your mother. My mother told me that you should always know how to type, because then you can always find a job.
Okay. Yeah.
Did I know that? When I started college, actually, it was ironic. I had planned on majoring in business education, but I absolutely hated typing and hated working like the adding machine. I mean, after like a couple of hours of that, I was ready to throw it out the window. So I'm glad that my career did not revolve around me having to type, although nowadays you have to know how to type to do pretty much anything.
Because everything is on a computer, right?
Everything is on a computer. And once I started going up the ladder in my career and was supervising other people, Lisa, you've been spared from the horrifying experience of reading my handwriting.
And handwriting.
I knew that it was abusive. So I taught myself how to use Lotus 1, 2, 3, just so I could make like my schedules and so forth for my staff. But that was the extent of my typing. So off of the list, Lisa, what was your first thing? Let's go with the 30s first. What was your first thing in the 30s?
30s. I think one of the things is by the age of 30, every woman should have a friend that she absolutely can trust. Unequivocally. Because, you know, you go through the teens and the my friend, your friends, and then my friend, not your friend. And then you might even go through the 20s where you know, think with your heart or some other part of your body, and you might find that the people who you thought you were friends with didn't feel the same way about you. But by the time you're 30, you should work that out. You should be able to know what a real friend is. You should know how to be a real friend, and you should also have a real friend that you can trust by the age of 30. If you're 40, 50, 60 years old and you still don't have any women in your life who you can trust, that is something that should probably go on a goal list, I believe. So yeah.
That's true. I can't say that I met that goal by the time I was 30 though, because having been an Army brat, I did
But
not
did
have.
you know did you have this inkling that you wanted one or needed one by the time you were 30? Did you look at the people around you and say, I need a good friend by the time you were 30?
By the time I was 30, let me say probably 35, I
Mhm.
had decided that being my friend required an application.
I didn't fill out an app.
No, you were vetted though, trust me.
Did you check up on me?
I watch. Like,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Stalker.
no, I wasn't just stalking, but I pay attention to, a statement that you make all the time is the way you are in anything is the way you are in everything.
Yes.
And that's sort of my vetting process is, are you consistent with what you say and who you say you are?
Mm-hmm.
And
This
you
is
are.
true. This is true. That is very true. And so as an ancient proverb say, he who is faithful in little is also faithful in much.
Exactly.
And I really do have noticed that. Okay, so all right, so for me it was by the time I was 30, I knew that I at least wanted a friend that I could trust. Somebody, that I didn't have to wonder in the back of my mind, is she not? Can I trust her? When the chips are down, would I trust her? That kind of thing. And yeah, I had gotten past the desires incidental to youth and realized that girlfriends are not, they come with a vetting process. That's what I want to say. By the time you're 30, you should know that a girlfriend comes with a vetting process. Yes, you. Okay. And just not everybody who say, hey, girlfriend, is your friend. All right.
And
All
I
right.
even go so far as not even using that word. I'll like acquaintance, good acquaintance, close acquaintance. Or yeah, I know her.
Work colleague or workmate, that kind of thing. But friends, yeah, that requires a vetting process. Okay, so you want to say list another thing that's on your list?
One of the things from the first thing that caught my eye is on the 30 list was the realization. I'm going to break it into two parts actually. The realization that you are actually going to have an old age.
Wow.
And the second part of that, and some money set aside to fund it. So I think the reason that caught my eye is because I at some point, probably into my 40s, I started realizing that, I had never visualized myself over 40. And when I started like checking that out, is that unusual? Is that just me? But most people, male and female, when you ask them, when you were in your 20s and 30s, did you see yourself as an older person? And most people will say, no, I never thought about over 40. And that's the cutoff for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So once I got to the point to realize that, okay, I am going to get old. Let me start doing something. Let me get moving. And that then includes, making preparations for the future.
Yes. I remember early on in our relationship, you mentioning a 10-year plan. And I thought that was just so cool because most people don't plan 10 years out. They have no idea what they're going to be doing in 10 years. They just hope that things are at least as good as they are you currently are or better. And so it's true. When I was younger, actually when I was in my 20s, I thought 50 and 60 was just ancient. And I didn't see myself at that age. But by the time you get into your mid to late 30s, you start thinking, oh my goodness, who's going to take care of me? Am I going to have enough money? Am I going to have to be one of those people who retire and then get another job? Am I, if I have health problems, who's going to take care of me? Will I have enough money to pay for it? Do I have a will? Do I have enough life insurance? All those things start coming at you. And so all of that falls into the umbrella of what you just said, the realization that you're going to have an old age and the means to fund that old age. So yeah, and not be a burden on somebody else. That's one of my fears. I don't want to be a burden on someone else because I failed to plan.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And if you pass 30, it's never too late to get started.
No, never too late. Even if you're in your 50s, if there's some catching up to do, but the point is realizing that you need to start making plans and putting some things in order.
Yeah. And so that was the fifth thing actually on my list, was the last part of yours, which is a real retirement strategy. Do we have a real retirement strategy? Do we really think that Social Security is going to get it? If so, have you even looked at it to see how much you're likely to get? Because Social Security has worksheets and apps online where you can put your information in and calculate how much you're going to get. Not only that, you can calculate how much it's going to take for you to live to the lifestyle that you are, you want to live in, and if your Social Security is going to be able to handle that, and if not, then you need some other options. I don't know if it's a 401 or an IRA or a savings account or what it's going to be, or some investment property. There's so much. I'm not a financial advisor. Please don't take me as one, but I do know that a real retirement strategy you get with a person who is a professional and plan this thing out so that it's not a surprise. And, maybe, we can avoid having someone trying to do what's that funding thing they have?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. Maybe your relatives won't have to be, opening a GoFundMe account, trying to get you the things that you need when you can plan for it now. That's a really important one. Okay, so I guess it's my time, huh? Back to me. So since we're talking about money, let me just say that one of the things I think everyone should have is an emergency fund for right now. So if anything emergency happened in your life, would it just devastate you? Would it take you out? I know I read an article many years ago that most people who were homeless, they ended up that way because they did not have an emergency funding situation. A lot of them can end up that way because when you live paycheck to paycheck, one or two missed paychecks can throw you, so far out into the stratosphere that is really, really hard to recover. And so, in your 20s, you're thinking about the new shoes, the new purse, the new outfit, where you're going to go, who you're going to be with, where you're going to be seen. But when you get in your 30s, you have to start thinking about that thing. Do I have an emergency fund set aside for emergencies? Okay. And not just the funds, but maybe an emergency plan. That kind of thing really is something that I started to think about when I was in my 30s. I still think about it now, or even more so now. And what I know in my 50s is that the emergency amount in your fund that you think you need triple, quadruple, 4 times that, quads. It does. Things are so much more expensive now that, honest to goodness, I had a rude awakening recently when I looked at my emergency fund and thought I was doing okay and realized I needed 3 or 4 times more money than that. in an emergency. So yes, that's one of the things I think that women in their 30s should start thinking about it. If push came to shove and you need to put your hands on something, can you put your hands on a little something? Can you get to it?
Yeah.
Without calling and trying to borrow. Okay. So
well, okay. Well, I totally agree with that. I love that. But my next one's like a little bit extravagant.
Oh, go ahead then.
Mm-hmm. It is something ridiculously expensive that you bought for yourself.
We must have been separated at birth. That's on my list. So go ahead and say why that's on your list, and then I'll say why it's on mine.
And that you bought for yourself just because you deserve it. And then the second part is that believing that you deserve it.
That's a critical part of it.
Yeah. That's on my list because, my kids were always the focus. And it just was so guilt-ridden for me to do something just totally selfish, for what I would see as selfish for myself, self-centered or self-absorbed or whatever. So I had a hard time with that, and I probably wasn't in my 30s when I did that. I would probably say maybe even late 40s before I actually not bought something ridiculously expensive for myself, but felt like it was okay and that I deserved it.
I totally agree. And you want to know that's something that's funny? I would buy something totally ridiculously expensive for my husband and tell him, stop talking about it. I don't want to talk about how much it costs. Stop acting like, you don't deserve it. But
Right.
then I would second guess spending the money on myself. Okay. And so you're right. I was way past my 30s before I even stopped to say, well, you know what? It's okay. You deserve it. You don't have to feel guilty about it. Or in my head, I would be thinking about all the other things that I could have done with that money. But just to buy it and feel good with it, okay, yes, this is a lesson that every woman needs to learn how to do. And let me just say that if you don't feel that you deserve it from yourself, how do you justify that you deserve it from someone else? Okay, so it's okay. We think, well, if somebody else gives us a ridiculously expensive gift, that means that they care about us. Well, how about if we give it to ourselves? That means we care about ourselves. So sometimes we have this double thinking going on in our heads. And so, yes, I really like that being on the list. And yeah, get it in. I think younger people spend money on themselves and don't think about it. But by the time you're 30, you've got responsibilities and you're starting to realize that there's a whole lot of life on the other side of 30. And then you start making different choices. So I love that. I love that. So if you're 30 in your 30s out there or your 40s and you haven't done it, buy yourself something that's just totally ridiculously that you wouldn't normally think about getting at least one thing. Yeah. And then force yourself to feel good about it.
Yes.
And don't apologize. Don't apologize.
Nope. And I started in that area with, started because now it's like, an addiction I'm trying to break in bags. And I always thought I was awful because I always thought I was so hard on purses, on bags, that it made no sense to me for me to spend a lot of money for a bag because it's going to have ink pen writing in the inside and this, that, and the other on the outside and smeared here. And it's going to be all, the handle's going to be all frayed because I wear them out so quickly. But little did I know, when you buy a nice, expensive bag, the ink might still be on the inside, but the wear and tear is not happening.
And I like nice bags, but my my guilty pleasure is shoes. Okay. I'd rather have a $50 purse and a $300 pair of shoes, or a $500 pair of shoes, or however much I can get in a pair of shoes than the purse. Even though I like the nice purse, I really, 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 can I just say I really like nice shoes?
I think you really like nice shoes, Lisa.
Did I say I really like nice shoes? I love them. I love them. I love them. Okay, so if I'm going to buy myself something, just out there, I'm going to go shoe shopping first. And it's not jewelry. It's funny. It's not jewelry for me. Okay, I've got a jewelry box full of jewelry I rarely even remember to wear. But shoes, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling. So for other people, it might be a car. It could be anything. Whatever gives you, like I said, that warm, fuzzy feeling, it just comes down over you, and you just want to be like a 3-year-old that's about to get a double scoop of ice cream. That.
Exactly. And I can't say, I like to buy nice, expensive shoes. However, I've had so many times that I've had to just give away all of my shoes for different reasons. Like now I can't do the heel thing. So I really have to just give away hundreds, thousands of dollars in shoes because I just simply cannot wear them. And I'm not going to ever be at that point again to wear some of the heels. And then my daughter, her foot is a little bit bigger than mine, so I couldn't pass them down to her. So I kind of like, that lost the enthusiasm for the shoes.
So.
And even though, and I'm going to say something that's sort of, I know you're going to call it a tree hugger thought, but the bags that I frequent the most now are bags with a purpose, that they actually are using the manufacturing of them to empower a community. So I don't feel so
guilty.
Yeah, I don't feel so guilty because I feel like it's serving a purpose. I mean, even when you said jewelry, like for instance, my husband would go buy me diamonds, and I told him, no, I don't want diamonds. I'm just as happy with a 18 karat or 14 karat, beautiful, finely crafted cubic zirconia, because I just really have a problem with that whole blood diamond thing. So yeah, I do have my little tree hugger moments. I'm sorry.
Well, you can get diamonds that are certified not blood diamonds, I
don't believe it though.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it.
Oh well. I've read about it. I'm not there, so I can't say. I've just read about it. Just not into jewelry at all. If you see me, I rarely have on earrings, even though I got maybe 100 pair in there in my jewelry box, and I wear my wedding band, and that's it. But a toe ring and an ankle bracelet, those two odd things, yeah. But anyway, let's see what else is on my list. You'll have a couple of mine. So here's one that is pretty serious, but I really do believe that every woman should have a credit score that she's proud of, or a solid strategy for improving it to the point where she is proud.
Yes.
That is something that, I think she should start in her. If she doesn't have it by the time she's 30, that should move way to the top of the list. Okay? Because here in America, the credit score rules. And everything else rules. It just is. It affects your quality of life and everything that you do.
Right. And I'm sure on the 30s list, we both have the same thing in terms of a skincare regimen, and exercise routine, and a plan for dealing with those other few facts of life that do not get better on their own.
Hey. Okay, so what's good skincare regimen? Absolutely. An exercise regimen, working on that. And some strategies to deal with those things that don't improve with age. It is just true. Your eyesight don't improve with age. Your health just doesn't improve with age.
It
Your
can.
what?
It
Not
can.
by itself. Not
Well,
by
no,
itself. That's why
not
you
by.
plan and that strategy for dealing with it. That's why what you said was a solid plan for dealing with those things that don't improve with age. I think that's what you said.
Right.
Those are the things that you have to realize do not improve with age. So there we have it. Some things every woman should know. And yes, I still think I'm going to tell you the truth. I did learn how to change a tire 20, 30, 40 years ago. I haven't had to do it since I got AAA in my 20s. So I hope I not have a flat tire on the side of the road. I'd be real challenged to call up what I'm supposed to do first. I probably could muddle my way through it. It's probably like a ride a bicycle. Once you know how to do it, it'll come back to you. But I have never been without AAA Motor Club in the last 40 years. So that's good. Setting a table, I can still get by because when I go to the corporate conventions and functions for the company we work for. They have the table set with 4 forks, 3 spoons, 3 knives, and the glass, the cup, the saucer, everything is on there. And you have to have a little bit of knowledge of where to start if you don't know how to set it. So I can muddle my way through that also. So the things that mom and grandmom taught me are still part of my every woman should know list. But I've had to add a few because my mom knew nothing about credit scores. I'm gonna just tell you. She just didn't. And retirement. In my mom's age, retirement was Social Security. Everybody thought that they would just get to a certain age, they would get their Social Security check and they would just live happily forever. And I think she found out before she passed away that Social Security was not a good strategy.
Not as social or as secure as we thought it was.
No, it was not. It was not. She didn't have children who could step in to help her. It would have been kind of critical. Kind of critical. And you don't want to be that on your children. If you don't want to be that on your children, having an extra strategy in place is crucial.
Right.
All right. So there we have it. Some things that we think every woman should know. But you know what? I have no sons to pass this on to. I have some daughters-in-laws. But probably they're getting their advice from their moms. So what do you say next week we talk about some things the men should know? Because I have 5 sons. You had both daughters and son, a daughter and son, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
and honestly, I had always tried to rear them in the way that it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. There's certain things you need to know. I mean, even in terms of chores and so forth, they were never broken down by gender. Everybody took out the trash. Everybody did the yard. Everybody, did the dishes and the laundry. I wasn't going to have a son who couldn't figure out how to put together a meal or keep his clothes clean, nor a daughter who didn't know what to do with a flat tire. So I kind of cross-trained, I guess, so to speak. But next week, let's talk about what men need to know by the age of 30, 40, 50.
Okay, and maybe some of our loyal listeners can chime in about the current list for women. What would you add? And also maybe some thoughts on what you would put on your list for men. I know having sons, my mom told me that every woman should know how to cook, but she said it's because the way to a man's heart was his stomach. Okay, so every woman should know how to cook. So all of her daughters can throw down in the kitchen, okay? But I taught my sons how to cook. And ironically, for most of them, they're the biggest cookers in their families.
Yeah. My son is too.
Okay, so maybe our listeners can chime in and tell us what should be on that list. What did we leave off the list for women, and what should absolutely go on the list for men? That would be cool.
I want to add one more thing that that you started off with.
Mm-hmm.
That is that every woman needs to know what her colors are. What colors make you look your best or make you feel your best?
Power colors.
Your power colors, exactly. Because there are going to be days when you just don't feel it. And you
And you gotta fake
it. And you grab one of those colors and you put it on and you shine.
You're gonna rock the room when you walk in. I get it. That's true.
That's
yeah, we all have power colors.
Self-confidence. It really is amazing.
And that was on one of the lists. Every woman should have an outfit that she feels like $1,000,000 in. You should have a go-to outfit that when you put it on, you feel like you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And every woman needs one of those. Okay. And you might wear that to an interview. You might wear that to a date, or a first date. You might wear it when you go meet the parents of your significant other, your future significant other. You need an outfit that when you put it on, I mean, your shoulder goes back, your Vicky comes up, your head tilts, and you just know you own it. That is one thing every woman should have, at least one or more of those power outfits.
And an LBD, little black dress, a boss LBD.
Yeah, everybody needs a boss little.
Hi, Gail. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
We're just about closing down, but you can see the beginnings of the episode in a little while. Just after we close up, you'll be able to play the whole thing. We appreciate your being here. We appreciate our replay viewers. Why I can't talk today, I don't know. Thank you for stopping by, checking us out. Let us know what you think. Add to the list, as Lisa said. What is it that we might have missed that you think is important? And what do you think men need to know for next week?
Yes. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lisa, I think we've come to the end of another successful episode of Coast to Coast Beauty.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Oh, she said she's been here for a while. Thanks for popping in, letting us know you were here. We appreciate that so much.
And yes, we do have viewers who choose to remain incognito. They just, kind of hover in the background and listen and enjoy. And then they'll pop up later and say, "Oh, I was back there watching." So we appreciate you too.
Yes, we do.
Perfectly okay. Thank you. All right. So, yes, we have come to the end of another episode, and it was fun today. Nothing too heavy. I've been on the road for the last 2 weeks, and I needed something light and fun to get me back into the groove. So this is perfect.
Yeah. You have been very busy the past 2 weeks. And those of you that are with our company, you know that the company put on an awesome convention for us, and it was just amazing, the things that were shared. So this coming year is going to be awesome. So I'm Sharen Davis on the West Coast.
And I am Lisa on the East Coast. And together we are Coast
to Coast
Beauty.
And now we're going to give you our customary goodbye.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Next week.